Hello.
Hey there.
I'm waiting. Oh, there we go. Post the hive. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone, and happy Monday. We're here with Taskmaster to do our Monday update on Leo Glossary. So, how you doing, Taskmaster?
I'm okay. Busy as always. Going too many directions at one time.
So, would you like to start us off?
I can, or I can take any questions that you might have, whichever you prefer.
Oh, you can just go right on ahead.
Well, basically, for those who don't know, Leo Glossary is an expanding project, an expanded initiative that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Um, I don't know how to say no to myself. So it initially started as Investopedia on the blockchain. That was my initial concept or mental framework. And I went with that for a while. And over the time, there was technical issues. Leo Finance had some issues, the front end, and couldn't edit things, and a lot of issues. So um, ultimately, when Leo made the change from just finance to general topic, then it became Wikipedia on the blockchain. But kind of in between the two, I started to take on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes on the blockchain. So we started building out movie pages and actor and actress pages. And the idea was ultimately to be moving into the IMDb movie review, television review type site situation. And about 8 months ago, trying to stimulate activity and provide utility to Leo threads in particular, I started making playlists, and there were a couple other people involved, Wealth West and Tokenized Society. Few of us were making uh, these playlists, and it was simply a thread with songs underneath, embedded YouTube songs. Actually, excuse me, it wasn't embedded. We were just putting the links in because that's all you could do. And at that time, we ran into technical issues, but kept doing it because, well, they'll straighten it out, send a feedback ticket. And what ended up happening is the viewer would show in one thread, then the next one would just show the URL, then viewer, then just URL. And we just thought, and I looked in Peak D, it looked fine. So it was a UI issue. And so that was basically it. I was focusing on the movies. I was focusing on the actresses and all that stuff. And then came premium, and I'm playing around with it one day, and I grabbed the embed code and I threw it in there. I'm like, holy crap, this works, because I tried the embed code before, but naturally I ran into issues because of the 240 character limit.
Ah, yes.
And so, it was like, okay, that won't work. But then when premium came up, and I didn't think about it initially, it was some time past. And I'm like, there's extended character count. So I tried it, and lo and behold, it worked. And so now we're in a totally new environment. And then I started to mess around with certain things, and the embed code works very well. It shows up, it doesn't, you know, the viewer's always there, all of that stuff. And that's basically where everything stemmed from. My idea ultimately, and that's part of the update, the idea was initially part of the movie, the Rotten Tomatoes or the IMDb on the blockchain, part of it is that voting. You want your decentralized review, but you go to any of these sites and you see these votes. You don't know if it's botted. I mean, you don't know what the hell's botted on YouTube. You don't know what's botted on Amazon. I mean, who knows? And IMDb is owned by Amazon, so gee, are they going to bot their own shows up? Perhaps so. So this is where, and this is kind of in line with what Wavio is saying about like products. Why should Amazon own all the reviews for products when it could be put on a blockchain and then the review is tied to Ivory Soap or whatever, and it's not, on a closed platform. So that's really where I saw it going, and of course, then that meant harassing Cal and saying, "I need this, build it. I need this," and he said, "Yeah, we'll do it, no problem." And then found out the development was a lot more of an issue. And then in the meantime, I'm like, okay, well, we can do this for the music because those are threads. And then the something changed, and the polls on threads went to hell. So there's no polls in music either. But and this is the exciting news is Cal gave one of his teaser threads today and said there's some interest in updating. He was mostly talking about the dashboard, but he did tag me and said that I'll be happy because part of the update will be polls come into long form. And I presume, they'll be reintroduced to threads. So that's crucial. And I don't know what to say because before I came on, I was in the process of writing my article, and I'm going into this in this article, so I don't want to kind of duplicate things too much. But
Okay.
the idea is we all know that ad revenue is important and page views important, and I've written about the network effects and how it pertains to Cal's flywheel. And part of that is utility. Let me just go into this rabbit hole for a little bit. One of the big things about network effects, if you start studying platforms and you start studying network science and all this stuff, and what makes these companies like Amazon or Apple or Facebook or any of these, or Uber, what gives them value? And what are the baselines that you need to look for? One of the baselines is utility. Is what can your users do? And that's really been a problem for Hive. People wonder why is the retention so bad? Because there's nothing for people to do. I mean, what the hell are they going to do? Blog and leave a few comments and get involved in downvote wars. That's about it. So this is the idea of music on Leo. That's why I started initially with those playlists. Is playlists are big. We know that. I mean, Spotify and all of them, YouTube, they build playlists, and it's like, well, if we could do the same thing on Threads, that would be a help. And we finally figured it out. So these are things that provide utility to the user base, and utility hopefully will equate to page views. I mean, that's what we want. And the idea with polls now, to vote on a movie, to vote on a song, to vote on anything, you have to visit it. I mean, on a poll like "What did you eat for dinner?" if it's on the latest feed, fine, you just hit, steak or dog food or whatever. But if you want to go and rate Stairway to Heaven, if you want to go and rate, the movie Star Wars, you have to go to the page. Well, guess what happens when you go to the page to vote? You got a page view. Guess what happens if somebody's on the page and sees the poll? Makes the page interactive. It's stuff for people to do. So I think that's really this is really a breakthrough moment when we start to see what's happening. And of course, you're part of it, Lisa. You're doing a lot of work with music on Leo, as are some other people. And then I got people working on the movies. So there's really a foundation of community forming, which is important. And, this is, in my opinion, providing value for Hive. I've said, give me 20 people who are just over the top and neurotic about this, and I'll build you $100 million company because I understand enough about platforms. And if you give me the people and give me the tools, it can be done. Um, just a matter of time then. Um, don't have the people, don't have all the tools, but some of them are showing up. And, that's where my focus is.
So, say you had, all right, just for music on Leo, um, a song that's been covered by two or three different bands. Would you put like a thread or well, like almost a small playlist, and say vote on which artist did the best cover of whatever song? Would that be a use for the polls?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah. See, this is where you can get real creative with stuff. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't even think of that. But let's say Pretty Woman. I know Pretty Woman was initially done by Orbison. Van Halen did it about 10 years later. And in the past 35, almost 40 years, I'm sure somebody else did, or a number of people did, covered Pretty Woman. So let's say you decided to do a playlist, a voting playlist, and you put up your thread. I mean, this is a great idea. You say, okay, this is a Pretty Woman playlist um, of artists who covered the song, and you put a poll in. Which one do you think did the best? Roy Orbison, Van Halen, ACDC, and Miley Cyrus. I don't know. Whoever covered it. And inside you put the four songs or five songs. Now, I will say we don't know what the polls will look like. So will they be like the last time where you were locked into four, you had one layout, you couldn't change anything? Or will it be where you could put up to 10 of selections? I don't know. So if you have a song that's been covered by a lot of people, you might not be able to do it. But let's say there's four people who covered Pretty Woman, you could do that. And then you could put the four songs underneath and let people engage with that. You could do the same thing with um, which Star Wars movie do you like? Which Star Trek series do you like the best? I mean, polls open up a lot of options, but tied to music, tied to artists, tied to. I mean, what do you think of Billy Joel? Rank Billy Joel on a scale of 1 to 5. One being worst artist of all time, five being the best artist of all time, and then you have a couple in between, or ACDC or whoever, John Denver. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but it's again, this is where innovation and creativity come in. And once this stuff's on chain, once it's in the database, people can start doing other things.
Yeah, I'm hoping that more people jump on this. Creating playlists, and I've noticed a couple of people put in just like a playlist that's like the songs, because I think they're frustrated with the fact that they have to like click on each song, but the whole point is to get page views. So for the
Yeah, it's you're really trying to get under my skin here. You're right. I mean, it's. I've heard the same thing, but I got to press it. Should be automatic. Shut the hell up. Spotify doesn't pay you. You know, this does. So yeah,
right.
it's a pain in the ass to click on every song, but that's what increases the page views, and it does it in an organic way because if you open up a thread, a song, and you listen to it and it's open for 3 or 4 minutes, Google looks at that as organic. You're not gaming the system by, clicking on 65 links in 35 seconds. I mean, Google then knows you're gaming the system. And that's the key, is to have organic traffic. And is it a little extra work? Yes. Um, but then again, I put more content on chain than anybody. I'm doing a lot of this stuff. And I guarantee I listen to more songs than anybody, because I have my playlist. I have them bookmarked in threads. I open up a playlist and I go through certain songs and I right click. I mean, okay, I'm on desktop, so it helps. But I right click on the song and open it up at the thread in a new tab. Actually, I don't need to right click on it. It just does it. Well, in a playlist, I right click it. Um, but that's the idea of the artist pages. I mean, you go to the artist page and you see the song you want. You click on it. It opens up in a new tab. Um, you know, that's what we want. And, it's a very simple formula for Leo, but people need to use it. And I think it'll grow. We've had some difficulties, but there's always difficulties. And, one of them's on our end. We have to update the singles pages, because they haven't been updated in about 3 weeks. So people get frustrated when they don't see their stuff up there, which I understand. But I have to take that on and probably end up having to separate and figure out what the best way to separate is, and probably alphabetize each each letter and getting its own page, because it's just going to end up as too much material. I mean, it's, first off, it doesn't even fit in a block, and then second off, I mean, nobody wants to scroll through 1,000 lines. It's just a pain in the ass. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But these are all parts of the learning curve and the experimentation.
Yeah, because I know those tech stacks are growing, and even with keeping some of those singles off of there, the tech stacks are still pretty big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, and we haven't even. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm not pushing it is because we're not we don't have things designed. I don't have things designed the way they need to be, because um, yeah, it gets to the point where, I mean, if we had 100 songs coming in a day, it'd be game over. I mean, we'd be just be crushed. Um, I mean, unless it's 100 songs where it's, you know, 3 different artists. Okay, that's fine. Then we just put them all on one page and create the page, and that's fine. But 100 songs with 100 different artists, I mean, that's just a nightmare to keep track of. And then just to really manage. So the idea is to get as much onto the blockchain as possible. But that's just one of the many things on the list to do.
And then this afternoon, you mentioned that you were like, are you integrate like you're in trying to integrate some of the music stuff with the movie stuff too?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of cross pollination, or some cross pollination. Mostly the singles that I put up, and when I say a single, what I mean by that is just one song that's not just one song by an artist, and not 10 songs by the same artist. When I do that, usually it's because I'm setting up a movie page and the song is listed on the movie page, like the theme song or something. So what I'll do is I will then go and find the song, throw it in threads,
Mm-hmm.
take that and link it then in the movie page. Um, so there's a lot of cross pollination. Then you get people like Dean Martin, you get people like Frank Sinatra, you get people like Elvis Presley. These people were not only music stars, but they were also movie stars. And so there's a lot of things that they've done that cross pollinate. And again, you start to get into the polls and things like that. Now you start to look at certain things you can do with that. Um, it's all when I go through menu mapping, it's all a matter of trying to tie as much data together as possible, and that's the goal. And to try to set up hubs, because with networks, most people talk about networks with the number of nodes. This goes to Metcalf, Reed. They all talked about the same thing. The problem is they equated each node to be the same, and that's not true. Nodes, some nodes are more valuable than others because they become hubs, and it's the same thing with what I'm creating here. What we're creating is trying to structure the data in such a way where there's hubs. And what are the hubs? Because some unknown artist with 5 songs, okay, that's a page. It's in the database, has some value, but that may not be anywhere near as strong a page as, let's say, Drake, the Drake singles page. And it may not even be anywhere near as powerful as, let's say, Dean Martin or 50 Cent or Frank Sinatra, because these people also did movies. So they're involved in the movie pages. So their names are showing up on movies in addition to music. So, and then you got to get into the popularity of them and the comments, if there is comments, and the voting and all of that other stuff. And that's where things start to really snowball, and you start to get some of these hubs set up where that's where the major page views come from, because all of a sudden you have a hub and you got so many different feeder systems into it, and so many people who are not necessarily looking for that but coming across it.
Wow. So, I mean, done a lot of work so far, but there's still, oh my God, this is like one of those things that'll never really be done.
No, it won't. I mean, it's it's an ongoing database. It's no different than Leo Glossary. It's no different. I mean, not Leo Glossary. It's no different than Wikipedia. It's no different than uh, IMDb. I mean, every day they're adding to the database. Every day there's linking going on. Every day, I mean, more movies are produced every year. Those have to go into the databases. More music comes out every year that has to go in the database. So yeah, there's always more stuff to do. But in my opinion, this is where, Cal talked about residual, uh, not residual, well, residual visits, under the evergreen. Have it, and he's talked about like Kevin Kelly articles that Kevin Kelly wrote some epic articles for Wired Magazine that have gotten who knows how many millions of views over 20 years. But that, to me, that's few and far between. And I will outpace all Kevin Kelly articles with YouTube videos. I'll outpace Kevin Kelly articles with many Wikipedia pages. Now, on the Kevin Kelly articles and Wikipedia page, we have no idea on the visits. But take a topic that's heavily searched on a search engine. I mean, most topics on the search engine, Wikipedia is the first or second. So I don't know. Pick any topic that you think is heavily searched: New York City or cryptocurrency or President Biden, um, Donald Trump. I mean, whatever it is, I guarantee you that Wikipedia page has tens of millions of visits a month. Um, that's the power of these connected hubs, connected pages that become hubs. And yeah, Kevin Kelly's article may be great, but it's a standalone. It's not really a hub. It's something that the search engines find, but it's really not connected to much else. With this, we're connecting and interconnecting everything so that if we do start to rank in the search engines, it helps everything. And we don't know what's going to rank. We don't care what ranks because it's like just get something going, and that ties into other things. So um, if it's a page of an artist, a Bon Jovi page or a Beatles page or an Elvis Presley page, fine. Then that links to their singles page, which links to their threads, which are songs. It may link to albums if album pages were set up. All of this feeds into and then I start doing stuff like just creating. If there wasn't enough, then I'd start creating more pages just out of the stuff that's created. Like I've been doing some Nigerian artists. Well, at some point, I'm going to create a page of Nigerian artists and a listing and a linking of the Nigerian artists. I already got a page of Nigerian a playlist going. See, it all just keeps adding, and that's part of the menu mapping where Google sees the Nigerian artist page, then goes to WizKid and the different Nigerian artists. Then it sees a list of the songs and links to the songs with the name of the artist and the song in the thread. And it's just a very logical flow for the search engines. That's what it wants.
What got you onto the Nigerian ones?
Just because Nigeria is next to the United States is the second most heavily trafficked area on Leo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's why not cater to that, and why not try to get some stuff for them. Again, trying to build those hubs where people actually start to go after these pages and start to utilize these pages and start to click on the pages to get the page views up. I've also done a little bit, not much, with the Cuban artists. And then we got Coyote Elation. He's now putting up playlists for Brazilian artists. So it's all well and good to do the Led Zeppelins and the Pink Floyds and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but there's a lot of different music out there. There's a lot of different music centers out there that conceivably we could tap into that might be overlooked. And we don't know what's it's going to take. I mean, we could get a nice, robust Leo Glossary page of Nigerian uh, playlists, and somebody sees that, takes it, and throws it out on social media, and maybe it just goes, gets a lot of interest in the Nigerian, in that Nigerian community or Cuban community. We just don't know. But instead of just doing the same stuff, and you're doing your thing, and there's a few others who are doing their thing, and when you have people of similar backgrounds or similar age or similar musical types, that's all well and good if we got all of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s rock up there. Okay, that's pretty good, but you're still very limited. Um, so this is where doing some of the Nigerian musicians, doing some of the Cuban, and we got Coyote Elation now, as I said, he's putting up Brazilian music. Uh, Venezuelan at some point. I mean, and it's more not that I do it all ultimately. It's also maybe to inspire some of them to start their own playlists, like Coyote Elation. And if we get 2, 3, 4, 5 Nigerians doing that, well, there it adds up, and just trying to hit the pockets.
Well, it's nice to see other people participating too. I feel like I'm seeing more different people when I'm going to capture songs. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this one before.
Yeah, and keep in mind we've been kind of mute on the individual song pushing. Um, I've been a little bit more engaging and talking to people about setting up playlists.
Hmm.
Uh, we don't capture those songs, which is fine. I mean, I'm capturing the count, we're capturing the playlist, and all of this feeds into. I'm a big numbers person, and all of this feeds into. At some point, I am going to market, and I am going to social media. I will go to X, and my marketing message is going to be very simple. I'm going to go on X and say, music on Leo, 3,000 playlists or 1,500 playlists, 1,000 playlists, whatever the number is when I decide enough is enough, not enough is enough, but where we have
Right,
enough
right.
to, 1,000 playlists with 12,000 songs, all on Leo. I mean, that's now people say, well, what's the narrative? Well, there's a narrative. We got 12,000 songs in 1,000 playlists, and it's growing. And we got all kinds of music. We got Nigerian music, Cuban music, Venezuelan music, country music, hip hop, opera, you know, national anthems, for Pete's sake. I mean, we got it all, you know. And the other thing is, I'm going to do the same thing with the music, with the movies, and especially when we have the voting. It's like, well, here's 5,000 songs in our database, all with polls with them. You can vote on the song. Here's 5,000 movies in the database you can vote on and comment on. This is what building a service is. And, the only drawback right now is the numbers. The numbers are just too small, even though they're rather impressive. Um, Proportionally speaking, they're small. I mean, until you get, I mean, realistically, we need about 50,000 songs. I mean,
And
that's
just out of curiosity, where are we? I know we just started February, but where are we for playlists for February now? Have we exceeded January? Or well,
no, we exceeded December. I don't remember the exact number. Let me see if I can read it. I got the spreadsheet, but there's just no guarantee I can read it. Um, uh, where we did 30 some odd, I think it's 32 in December. We did roughly 75 in January, and we're 50 some odd right now in February. And that was as of this morning, what I captured from the overnight. So what was done today is not in that total. So I know I put up one or two, you put up a whole bunch. Those are not in those numbers. And the total, I think we're at like 165 or so, 160 for total playlists. And that amounts to about 1,600 songs, which that's misleading for various reasons. It's significantly underrepresented, the number of songs, but that's because we didn't really start counting till the end of January. We were using a different makeup, so that's neither here nor there. But so we're right now we're averaging about 10 songs per playlist, which will go up because a lot of the playlists we have in the database, like all of December, counted as 0 songs. So we're actually averaging higher. And that's what it is. That's what it's going to take, in my opinion, just bigger numbers, and that's just on a daily basis. But again, the nice thing is, unlike some stupid thread that I put up 3 weeks ago that said it's raining here and good morning to everybody, which nobody gave a shit at that time, and they really don't give a crap now, 3 weeks later. The song that I put up 3 weeks ago, or the song that you put up 3 weeks ago, especially since it's captured in a playlist, or if it's captured in the database, that can always generate clicks. It can always generate page views because people like their music. I mean, how often do you go back and listen to the same song? I mean,
several times.
yeah. I mean, how many times have you heard the same song? We've heard them thousands and thousands of times in our lives. I mean, between playing them on a CD, playing them on an old cassette tape, maybe even playing them on an old record. Times they appeared in on the radio. Times we found them on YouTube,
or on
Pandora,
TV.
Spotify. I mean, it's we listen to the same stuff over thousands of times, and that's the point of it. You keep going back, and even if the same songs in the database, I mean, not necessarily database, but in a thread, even if it's in a playlist which is separate from the database, doesn't matter. There's same song you put in "Stairway to Heaven" into YouTube, you'll find 8 of them that show up, and they all have like 10 million views apiece. Okay, maybe they're botted, but there's a lot of views. So that's what I do. I listen to my music on Leo. I don't listen to it on YouTube anymore. If there's something on YouTube, I take it, I edit to Leo, and then I listen to it through Leo.
I like doing it on my I like listening on my computer better than on my phone. The phone can be challenging sometimes to get the songs to come up right.
I haven't done it. I got a new phone and I didn't even load keychain into the phone yet. But I'm not a big phone person anyway, so I'm doing stuff on the phone, and I probably should get that situated so I can see it. But I know mobile's a challenge, and I know that makes it a bigger challenge for a lot of people. But they can find this stuff on YouTube, so if they can find it on YouTube and play it on the phone, then they can. And I know YouTube does have an app that makes it easier, but it is what it is.
Oh
But
yeah,
there's still a lot of, I mean, look at Microsoft. They're making a ton of money. So there's still a lot of Windows users out there.
yeah, I'm one of them.
I am too. So but again, we're not looking for a million views per song. I mean, it's like if we get 100 people who use laptops or PCs doing this, it will be some big numbers.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see where we are next week at this time. I
Well,
think
we'll just have bigger numbers. I can't speculate where they'll be. I'm hoping more people get involved. But right now with the playlist, I mean, I'm happy capturing 7 or 8 a day. I mean, for now, this is a decent number. And again, the more we pack in there, the bigger our playlist. Then when we go and we start to say, hey, look, we did 32 in December, we did 75 in January, we did 210 or 155, whatever the number is, in February. That shows growth. And, if we keep consistently doing that, that'll attract more people.
and I was trying to decide because I did the Neil Diamond, the Elton John, and people who have a lot of songs, and I feel like I should make like a different like a different volume playlist instead of trying to add a bunch more songs to the playlist because we want more playlists, not necessarily more songs on one playlist.
Yeah, because I've set up playlists I set up one playlist. One of the first ones I did, it was like 90 songs.
Oh,
And then I set up another one, it was like 50. And that's how I learned that's the wrong approach because nobody goes through it. I don't even go through it because I'm not going to listen to 90 songs in one sitting. I mean, it'll take you, I don't listen to 90 songs in one day. So that's where playlists I found 10 to 15 songs, which, that's where an album used to fall in, or, I guess they still make them
mm,
technically. Um, that was where an album would be, 10, 12, 15 songs.
mm-hmm.
And that's really a decent number. Um, and if it is something where you find a lot of songs by a particular artist, I mean, playlist can be anything. You could do it a mixture of artists or the same artists or whatever. But you're always better off with different playlists. And don't forget, the same people may not be coming across the same playlist because you're doing them in order, but doesn't mean somebody else finds both of them. They only might find one. So again, I always tell people, make the playlist for you, what you would listen to. And we have people who are doing albums. I mean, a playlist to them is an album. Okay, that's their thing. um, there are a lot of different ways to go, but the important thing is, to me, the numbers. Just keep pushing the numbers higher and getting it to levels and showing growth, and hopefully that'll attract more people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm such a stickler for capturing all of this data, making sure we maintain the counts using Excel spreadsheets and the auto sum that is telling us how many you know songs are on singles pages, then how many songs are in the playlist, how many playlists we have, how many artist pages we have, which I have no idea. I haven't counted them up yet, but um, that's going to be a number that ends up well over 500 or 1,000 at some point. And that's the point. You start getting 1,000 artist playlist pages with, I don't know, 20 songs per artist on average. You know, now you're talking 20,000 songs. That's a huge library. Now you're starting to see where you could get thousands and thousands and thousands of page views a day just from people playing their music. And who knows, maybe somebody then could build a player on Leo that actually plays the playlists you know in an autoplay manner. I don't know what it would take with that, but
Well, wow. I mean, because I haven't been on doing this very long, and it seems like it's been growing even since when did I come into this? Like the middle of December, maybe the end of November.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing I've learned from building databases is you really learn front and center about exponentiality and how things really start to snowball. And you can see it before your eyes. And how, I mean, I see it with just to keep it on music on Leo. And granted, we changed the structure of the playlist a little bit midstream here, but with playlists, I find that the more music page, I can set up a playlist very quickly simply by going to the artist pages or a group of pages by different artists. Open them up, open up, 3 songs from each artist. Take those songs and through just a simple copy and paste off of our database, throw them into the playlist. I can make a playlist in about 5 minutes or 7 minutes, something like that.
Wow. And I take a little longer to do it, but that's because I'm scrolling through and trying to find songs that I want. And then the last few days, I've been taking them off of YouTube, doing the ones that I
Well,
did.
yeah, I mean, if you're using YouTube, yeah, then that's time consuming. If you have to really search for what you're looking for, yes, that's time consuming. But if you're just trying to take a playlist of a particular artist, Rolling Stones, I mean, I can scroll through the Rolling Stones page and find 12 great Stone songs in about 30 seconds. I mean, it's just can't go too far without finding a great Stone song. So, some of these pages that have a lot of stuff on them, it's not that difficult. But again, the more of that we have, the easier it becomes. It's a lot easier to have that stuff in the database and that's the exponentiality. It makes it quicker than having to go to YouTube and find all the data.
Well, this was a good update. Thank you.
Well, hopefully we'll have more of them and bigger ones, and we'll see what the numbers look like over the next week. And I'm watching the page view numbers of the whole site to see if what impact there is. I mean, I won't be able to narrow it down absolutely, obviously, because I don't know, unless we see what every music page is getting. But I can't believe we're not having an impact.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we wouldn't.
Well, I know we are because of the party initiative that Sellout Caleb Marvel put together, which we'll see where that goes. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. But um, that's a real interesting idea that somebody put together that, again, starting to see some activity.
Well, thanks for coming in tonight and doing this.
Not a problem. So we'll just keep building.
Okay, well, thanks who's ever listening. Thank you. Doesn't look like anyone right now, but the replay will be up. So, and until next week, thanks again.
Ciao.
See ya. Have a good night. Come on. This is like frozen. Oh boy.